Yes, people. Welcome back, man, to another Avengers show. Hopefully, you guys are all doing well. Make sure you drop the likes, subscribe to the channel as well if you are new. But we are here, lads, having won a second trophy this season, and we are now one away from the treble, man. Historic moment. And you know, it's a good time to be a City fan right now. It is a good time to be a City fan. But Martin, let me come to you. Let me come to tanned Martin. We got a tanned Martin, mate.
I haven't watched.
No, none of us have washed. It's fine. That's normal.
You never do.
Martin, man, tell me what you thought about yesterday, man.
Well, apart from being a long day, one hell of a day. One hell of a day. Apart from the fiasco getting into the stadium. Anyone down there knows what I mean. Thanks, Wembley. No, it was a great day. Atmosphere. I love the FA Cup final. From everything, from Abide With Me, the fire. I mean, in fact, this tan's from that fire yesterday. If anyone saw it, I was just being like 4 rows behind it. But no, it was amazing. And I just about finished doing the Poznan. You turn around and you want to look. Can you ask for a bet? And you know what? You always look at a derby and you think you go in. Doesn't matter how many times you won. Doesn't matter what the team is, what form anyone in. Every City fan has some nerves going into a derby. You have that gut feeling. You're like, you know, you need that early goal. Could we have got a better early goal than what, 13, 14 seconds?
Could the ball have fell to a better player? When it fell,
well, it wasn't exactly Pepe's football, was it? It was a little bit joking here. Wimbledon, oof and goal sort of job.
Can you imagine?
If you want to check, if you want
now.
to check commentary that sums it up, go and check. There's a clip doing the rounds of a certain Man United fan being humbled in 13 seconds, and that clip sums it up perfectly.
I think there'd be a lot, man. I think there'd be a lot of United fans getting humbled off of that.
Yeah.
Can you imagine them though in that end, like all week? Like last week, your manager was on the pitch talking about how these players are going to be, focused. They're going to give their everything to make sure they beat Man City, right? You've driven in from Cornwall or wherever. You're in your seat. You got your brand new bucket hat off the club. 30,000 of you. You've barely sat down. And Ilkay Gundogan smacks that one in from just outside the box. Unbelievable. And, all week you've been listening to podcasts and news media telling you, this team was going to be ready and it was going to be them that stopped this historic trouble for City. And you find out within 10 seconds whether they were ready for it or not.
I mean, it was funny because Martin just said then as well, like, it wasn't really Pep football, really, was it? It was just a standard long ball. And it's something that United did a lot yesterday, going long. Yeah. And ironically, we were the ones that scored from it. It was a good clip in from Ortega. And yeah, the finish DAPS, man, from Gundogan. I mean, he's been... Where are you at with the statue thing, man? I think...
Bo, you know what, yeah? Yeah, I got asked probably about 2-3 months ago about Gundogan and Mahrez, right, by someone online, what my opinion was. And it's a hard one because our rival fan bases will say we can't give statues to everyone. And I do understand that. But when it gets to a point where we have to be really clear on Gundogan, right? The last 3 years, which in a week's time we'll know if this is our... Like, look, next week's our destiny, innit? Yeah, it's our... This time next week, this could be the most successful Man City era ever, yeah? And if you look at those last 3 seasons, first season, Gundogan was top goal scorer. Second season, he came up clutch in the last game of the season, and he also put in some damn good performances throughout the season. And then thirdly, this season, he'd done it in the league, he did it in the FA Cup. And I've said a couple of weeks ago, it's an awkward conversation to some of the more online lot that love Yaya. We all love Yaya, but really love Yaya. But it's an awkward conversation that Gundogan has had a bigger impact on this football club now than Yaya Toure has. Because, like, bro, he is the definition of clutch. He really is. And I don't know, I saw you lot put that thing out about this can't be a good buy. And I'm kind of set that if he's going Barcelona, then I'm cool. Do you know what? We've got one more week with him, and if he goes Barcelona, I'm happy he's not going to another Premier League club. But I'm not going to lie, there is an element of me that for once, City, backtrack. We don't usually do it. We offer a contract, it's you take it or leave it. But there is an element of me that's saying, actually, do you know what? Nah, give him one more year. We need to keep him, man. The guy's unreal. He really is. He's so clinical. When he hits the box, he is so clinical.
Yeah, no, I agree. I think City... I mean, I've sort of like flip-flopped on the whole contract thing, but over the last couple of months, it just looks to me like a very strange decision not to give him a 2-year contract, man, because, it's a 2-year contract. It's not like he's asking for 3 or 4 years, I just think that what we're doing here.
And the other thing that's a bit confusing, and look, I know with a manager like Pep, yeah, sometimes you don't buy an out-and-out replacement for a player. You can just tinker with the squad and make things work. But even with the Kovacic thing, yeah, that for me, I'm looking at Kovacic. I'm not thinking Kovacic is a Gundogan replacement. I'm thinking Kovacic, if we're looking at the type of player he is more of a Bernardo Silva replacement, potentially, yeah? He can't do what Gundogan does. So I'm thinking, and Pep came out yesterday and said, I think that, Gundogan knows I want him to stay. So, I don't know. Look, we're in a beautiful place where we can trust the board, we trust the manager, and I'm sure they'll be doing it with a plan in their head. But I feel like right now, has he earned an extra year? I think he probably has, right?
Yeah, lads.
He's earned 2 years, not 1 for me.
Lads, what you saying?
Yeah, mate, get the contract out. I think De Bruyne said it to somebody yesterday. Get the contract out. I don't think he can do any more, to be honest, to get a 2-year deal. And at the end of the day, if it's fine, it can't be finances that like the club are worried about. They don't want to keep too many, players too long, like we saw with Toure and things. But at the end of the day, even if he has a good season this season and next year, and then he flops off a bit, he kind of deserves it at this point. Do you know what I mean? You can't really Can't really bin him off after a year or bin him off now. And then
it's not like we'd be giving him a 5-year contract, right?
Yeah,
it's not like when other clubs are going, here's at certain ages, here's a 4 or 5 year contract. It's a 2-year contract, and I don't know, it's a mad one. Martin, as for the statue though, how do you, Lewis? Actually, for once, how do you feel about statue?
I'm going for it. I'm going for the statue. I'm on the statue. I think if we win the treble, are you telling me that if we win our treble, the first ever treble we've ever won and the first ever Champions League, we're not going to honour this man with a statue?
Yeah, with the when he's the captain of that team, but also in 2 of the trophies, he's been the clutch player. I think you're right. We have to. Right?
You have to, bro. You know what I mean? When you take your kids to the stadium in 20, 30 years' time, or your grandkids or whatever, you want to be taking it to the statue of the guy that lifted the trophy. We've had superb captains over the last 10 years. Not one of them has managed to win the Champions League. If this guy wins the Champions League whilst doing the 3-peat and the treble in the same season, I just think, and people will go, yeah, but we'll have loads of statues. No, we won't. You know what I mean? Go walk around the Etihad Stadium, man. There ain't that many statues around there. And my point is that for me personally, you've got to honour these players when they do something great. I'm not saying give it to Gundogan if you don't win the Champions League. Nah, I'm fine with that. But if they do something great for this football club, you've got to honour them, in my opinion. If this guy lifts the Champions League whilst doing the treble and the 3-peat, I just think that you have to do it, man. Yeah. And people will say there are too many statues. We'll go and have a walk around the Etihad Stadium, man. There's not too many statues. It's just because we put a couple up in a short space of time. And who else is going to get a statue after that? Kevin De Bruyne.
I think it's more though because we haven't got the Bell Lee Summerbear, Tony.
Well, that's getting done anyway.
Yeah, I know it is, but that's what I mean. I think till they go up, to some, they'll say they want Tony Buck, Cup Winners' Cup, before they want. This is the problem. It's a very subjective argument for me. I mean, someone put in the comments about maybe didn't we used to name pitches?
Torre's got like a pitch. I think.
I don't think he's got that anymore, has he? Hasn't that been taken down? That one.
Yeah, but that's just shit, innit? The guy lifts the Champions League and you're going to name a training ground after him.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, you have to get a stage. Now, funny enough, actually, something interesting come up. I seen this on Twitter today, and Cemex has just put it in the chat. I don't know this, but a couple of people have said online that Gundogan is a Muslim, apparently. So I didn't know that, but apparently there might be something in that he's not actually allowed a statue or something like that. Now I don't know. Obviously, I don't know that. Yeah, all right. But I didn't know that. But yeah, if he's allowed one, I'd be giving him one. But yeah, lads, man. To talk to me about yesterday, obviously you were there. I said he was on the Talk Sport as well after the game, getting interviewed. What did you make of it, man?
Mate, it was a special game. Like even from the start, it felt different to any other game. Like I was at the 2011 one as well, the semi-final, and it felt almost similar to that a little bit. I remember going to the Watford one. We won 6-0. We've won. We've battered them. Do you know what I mean? It was obviously a good day, but it didn't feel that big. That game yesterday though felt really big when I was there, and then it was like as soon as United scored, I was like gutted. I thought we'd lost at that point. I was speaking to a couple of people at half time, and they one guy was pissed out of his head, to be fair, and he said he was going to go home, and I just said, "You're not going to go home," but he'd already accepted we were going to lose. As soon as that decision went against us, people were really, their heads were in the gutters, and I was thinking United are going to get some lucky counter attack or something. But thankfully, we got an early goal again in the second half. And it was just good.
What did you make of the penalty shout? Because this is something that's split opinions of fans, which again is why VAR will never truly work. Because this is a what was your opinion on the handball?
Yeah, I think if you look at the rule, right, first of all, I didn't want to give it. Obviously, if you look at the time, I was just thinking they're just cheats. But if you look at the rules, I think it is a handball based off the rules. But I think the rules are stupid, if that makes sense. I just think. I'm not sure. Grealish jumps. The guy can't see the ball, so I don't know, man. I don't know. Thankfully, it doesn't matter. Do you know what I mean?
Do you know what? The way I felt about it, because I started trying. I was in here jumping about, and seeing what my hands did when I jump, and the way I'd see it is that, it's a mad thing, isn't it? But Like honestly, to
Can
see
you give
if
us
his
a
hands
demo?
are-
You film it?
No, we're not. We're not.
It's in them
I'll give you.
goal.
I'll give you a demo in Istanbul when I've had a few more to drink. But I was jumping about, and I said, "Do you know what? I get it, yeah, because this is a rule in its consistency, and so I understand why it's been given. But I just felt this is why it needs to be addressed. Because imagine if United went on and won that game, Jack Grealish would have felt like, forget the whole season Jack Grealish has had, he would have been thinking, I jumped to win the ball and my hand was where it was, because if I fall, yeah, I need to, your body naturally does certain things, right? So your hands naturally, when you jump, I found this out yesterday, your hands go with you. But imagine how Grealish would feel if they went and won on that. Like, it's just, and I even said, I'm not going to argue this point, because the one at their ground, that decision was a bad decision by the referee and everyone involved. I don't think yesterday was a bad decision by the referee. It's just a bad rule, like exactly what Lads said.
Yeah, I don't know, man. I thought that basically the question that you've got to ask here is, do you think where his arm is in a position to justify his movement? And as Grealish was saying, he was like not even facing the ball. I don't know. It's a bit of a dodgy one. It's a bit of a hard one. But
In real time as well, the ref doesn't do anything about it. So I don't know how they can say to the ref, this is like a massive mistake you've made. You need to go look at the screen. Do you know what I mean? I don't even think any of United, many of the fans, like none of the United fans appealed it at the wrong end, but a couple of the players did it. I don't think it's a penalty.
I can't get over what Daps was saying.
What about jumping about?
Like I'm recreating Gundogan volleys right from outside the box. Martin's recreating Dennis Chua overhead kicks, and this guy is recreating Jack Grealish.
I'm trying to work it out in my head, man. I was just trying. Listen, if you think that's mad, you haven't been around me for 5 minutes. Then you'll realise what mad is.
Come on, I'm on screen, bro.
Do a vlog. Do a vlog going down to Istanbul.
Do you know what? I'll do a post. I'll get my mate to film me afterwards. I'll do it and post it afterwards.
Daps gives the demo it. I've heard if there's a £10 super chat aimed at Daps, he'll do it.
Oh, do you know what? Yeah, I will do.
The thing is, Albert, it's like it's the rule. The rule is his hand in an unnatural position? And I know we're all laughing at that.
And the jump will prove it.
Do we jump up and down like Bobo dolls?
All of us.
Anyone's seen a Bobo doll? It's one of them dolls that has no arms. That just, when you punch it, just keeps going back to you. We don't jump up like straight pieces of wood.
No, we don't. No.
You jump up with your arms. And I am showing my age now. Alan Shearer did it for how long?
He did it with his elbows, to be fair.
Yeah, well, he did. Well, yeah, he did it with his elbows and his legs. But and like you said, Grealish isn't looking at the ball, and it was weird in the stadium because we were like jumped up, didn't really see it, and it was like, I know 15 seconds does not seem a long time, but in a game of football, that felt like 5 minutes, and then he just stopped it, and we all went, "What?"
But did you not notice the players? Weird. Do you know, this is how VAR's affecting football, though, but I don't know if you noticed this, yeah? But firstly, VAR took way too long to make a decision on it. But secondly, I don't know if you noticed, but City almost stopped playing. Like, they weren't sure as well. And it's like the game froze for a bit, and City were just passing about the back going, we have a feeling VAR's going to call this. So, and that's what VAR's doing. That City didn't want to continue with the game because I think they were thinking this is going to be called back at some point, and just all a bit mad. But I think the beauty of it is that this is a kind of irrelevant talking point. It's, for the good of football, it's a relevant talking point, but ultimately, because
the reason I got onto it though,
the
reason I got onto it though is because that referee yesterday was absolutely abysmal.
Yeah.
The Casemiro challenge. I mean, the more I look at that, the more I think that's a red card. I think he's just too high for me on the leg. To not be a red card. I think the Kevin De Bruyne penalty shout in real time, I didn't think it was a penalty, and then I watched it back, and I think Fred has made no real attempt to play the ball, and he's put his leg across Kevin De Bruyne. I think that's a penalty, and that's the type of stuff he was up against. But luckily for us, obviously the players came through and got the job done.
This is the difference in our levels now at City. Is we can play in third gear, and the opposition can get a gift off the referees, but we're still good enough to beat them relatively comfortably. And I think that's a new level for City from versus seasons prior.
Why? Why are we doing that then? What do you reckon?
The mentality is just another level, and the confidence that Pep's got in these players to, even in the middle of a game, change the way we're playing, change the way we're building up to adapt to what the other team's doing. So if we want to move into talking about football for a minute, United set up to man mark our midfielders, particularly De Bruyne and Gundo, and I think Pep picked up on that pretty quickly, and we started moving the play to the wings to progress the ball. And my point simply just is that even in the middle of a game, we can now adapt to what the opposition's doing and basically make them pick their poison. You know what I mean? We'll beat you one way or another. We just got to figure out what you're trying to defend, make the adjustment, and still beat you.
Someone I think we have to speak about, John Stones. I mean, he's had a lot of praise, Martin, over the last couple of months, but again, mate, yesterday he was absolutely exceptional again, man.
My man of the match. I know Gundo scored the goals, but I was laughing because I gave it the other end. But one point I'm like, is that Stones or was that Haaland? I couldn't tell which one was striker at one point because Stones was everywhere yesterday.
But that's the thing. There was other points where weren't you? Well, so you said Haaland, but and this shows how good he was. At some points, I was saying, is that Stones or Rodri? Yeah. And and that's how good he was. That some of the stuff he was doing, bringing the ball out from the back, and it was Rodri levels. Like he's now getting to that level in that role. Yesterday was unbelievable, man. Unbelievable.
World class. He's just world class, and he's doing Stones what he did for Philip Lam at Bayern.
I think arguably he's doing better than not Philip Lam because he's going further forward. I think on the ball he's more of a presence in that midfield as well, just due to his natural physical sort of stature. He's really, really good, man, and I love him. I think defensively he's very solid. On the ball, obviously we know his minute, and now he's stepping into that midfield, giving us that extra man advantage. I mean, we're effectively playing DAPS with an extra man on the pitch, isn't it?
Yeah, that's exactly. Look, I've said this before that I think this season we all knew what Pep was doing. He was trying to find with Haaland and not a false nine. He was trying to find that overloaded midfield again, and I don't know if he did it on purpose or not, because obviously it was Cancelo at the start, and maybe even some might say Cancelo last season as well. Then it's been Rico Lewis a bit, but then obviously John Stones has come back, got fully fit, and there's been talk for years that John Stones could play maybe in a DM role because he's that good on the ball. But I think it's almost like Pep stumbled across a 2-in-1, that he got that overload in midfield with John Stones, but then when we have to defend, all of a sudden teams are coming up against 4 centre-backs now. And I don't necessarily think Pep thought of it from a defensive point of view. That's why Cancelo is in there. But when you put Stones in there, it's like, and that's why we've become better defensively, because when it needs to, it's no longer like a Cancelo that's not as good at defending. You've got John Stones that's a solid defender as part of a back four as well. And exactly. It's just the height is, it's perfect.
I heard
the game.
I heard Rio Ferdinand actually speaking about that on whatever show he was talking about. And he was like, when the opposition players now running at the City defense, they're running at defenders who actually want to defend and actually can defend. Whereas previously we've had Cancelo can't defend, Zinchenko can't defend. You know what I mean? And so you're in a situation where Danilo was all right, I suppose. I don't know they're throwing in the same category. But you've got now 4 players, and I think people always talk about Pep Guardiola reinventing football and changing the game. I would not be surprised if there are some managers out there looking at this sort of. I know Walker's a fullback, but he's very defensively sound. Maybe looking at this, going, is this the way to go? Because every time we play sort of like this back four, I'm going into games thinking we ain't going to concede a goal. I'm backing us to keep a clean sheet. Yeah. I honestly think, MULV, that he might have. I would not surprise me if he started seeing teams next season go for 4 centre backs. It really wouldn't.
Yeah, no, I agree with you. He sets the tone for tactics. Every year it seems he's won the league with Fabian Delph at left back, Zinchenko at left back. He's won it without a striker. He's won it with no fullbacks. You know, it's just every year something different, and he just seems to adapt to the talent that he's got, and find a way. He's the best there's ever been, in my opinion. And I was on our podcast. I said I was just getting used to this. You know, defenders attacking and attackers defending. You know, you had Gabriel Jesus, the striker, who was probably one of our best defenders. You got Laporte and you know, Cancelo in the back, building out of the back. You know, defenders who attack. And now he's almost flipped it again. Or really, what he's done is he's just got more clinical in the boxes, right? So you've added Haaland, who's the most clinical up front, and you've got the best defenders now at the back, just as you were just describing. You got Ake, Akanji, Diaz, the most physical, you know, the best one-on-one defenders in the box. You've got a guy who's willing to headbutt the crossbar in John Stones.
Right, so he did hit the crossbar, yeah, because I was trying to watch that.
Yeah.
He did hit he took it well, to be fair. Took better than Akanji, nearly took the posts to the private parts.
It's like he built it off, you know, the control that we had where we had the false nine. We got really good at that, and he's almost been able to keep that, but just get stronger in both boxes. And now it's almost there's like not a weakness anymore, you know?
No, I think, you know what, mate? I think that's very, very well summed up. I think you're spot on. I think that false nine, we didn't have it until John Stones went in. Because what the false nine is basically, you just got an extra man in midfield. Let's call it spade to spade. That is basically what it is. You got an extra man in midfield. And we didn't have that in that sort of middle part of the season, beginning part of the season. We've seen it with John Stones go in. You've effectively got the extra man in midfield, and you're absolutely spot on. All we've done really is got more clinical in the forward areas by putting Haaland in there and obviously Julian Alvarez, and we've got much more solid in our base with the four defenders, and even Laporte. You know, he's not as good as Diaz, Stones, Ake, and maybe even Akanji in terms of just pure one-on-one defending. So. Yeah, go on. What did you want to say?
One last thing on the tactics of it. One thing we cannot underestimate is the importance of the goalkeeper. And if you want to see a contrast between a team that uses one and a team that doesn't, yesterday was it. Because City can't do what they do without an Edison, without an Ortega, who's also great with his feet. They're so important.
Yeah, yesterday, that for me, that was, and look, I live with a United fan, and he was just livid at De Gea, and I could see it. Every single time, like, right, so if you play out from the back, you risk giving the ball away, but you also risk keeping it. If you just hoof it to anyone, you're losing the ball generally, It's like, unless you've got players that are willing to go for the second ball, right? And yesterday, United didn't. The amount of times I saw Rashford just watch City win headers, and that's the thing. It's like, I don't watch American football, but I've seen enough of it to know that when someone throws the ball, all of the players run and tackle the person as quickly as possible to make up the yards and win the ball back. And yesterday, De Gea was going long, but then no one was trying to win the ball. And it was like, you're just giving it back to City repeatedly, and inviting pressure back. It was mad to watch.
But you saw the difference. How many times did De Gea kick the ball out?
Yeah, even out. Yeah.
There was no logical area where he was trying to go with it. It was just, you know, the old saying, if in doubt, kick it out. That's what De Gea was trying to look like he was doing. Yeah. It was like panic stations. United, for me, had no leader on that pitch to grab hold of him and stop that and turn that around. Because 4, 5, 6 of them were all over the place. They were all at sea. You talked more about the defence. I was checking up. We haven't conceded more than one goal since January. Tottenham at home.
That's incredible.
January. And that was when we conceded. Remember, we went 2-0 down in the first half to Tottenham.
That was a mad 5 minutes, isn't it? That was literally just a mad 5 minutes.
Mad 5 minutes at the end. You know, and since then, we've not conceded more than 2 goals.
Do you know what?
I got one.
In any game. That's mad.
I had a conversation earlier. I want your guys' opinion on this real quick. We were doing a team of the season based on players that have been bought this season, on Never Fail, right? And I was saying, I'm sorry, but Akanji has to be in the back four.
Yeah.
Like, he has to be. He's played left back, he's played right back, he's played centre back, right? He's been I think probably our most used defender this season, to be fair, because of injuries to other. And a lot of people that aren't City fans would try. I'll make the statement. I'll be honest with it. I think Martinez for Man United, long term, once Ten Hag's system changes, might end up being a better player, right, in the future. Because I do think he needs the right system around him. But I was very clearly this season, Akanji has had a better season than Martinez, in my opinion. Because, you know, can you pick out games where Akanji's had absolute stinkers?
No.
Can you pick?
No.
And it's just because of his price tag and because, you know, Martinez went off and won a World Cup. That doesn't, and for United, he's come in and, you know what, he's a lot better than Maguire and he will be a good defender. I think he's had a good season, but no one can tell me he's had a better season than Akanji, man. We're talking about
I think
Akanji's
about full back, better on the wide than he is in the centre back.
Yeah,
personally.
Yeah,
the only game that I think Akanji looked dodgy was the Brighton game at home. You remember he had Trossard.
Yeah.
Trossard absolutely murdered him.
Yeah.
But let's be honest, Brighton were just very, very good that day. I would say they've been the best team to come to the Etihad all season. Brighton. But like I said, we've got a conundrum next week. Aki or Akanji. That's for Pep to solve.
Yeah.
Where he goes with that one. But I mean, we talked about it a few weeks back. Stones, I think, wasn't he injured November time or something? Because I know Diaz was injured.
Yeah, he got injured for England, didn't he?
Yeah, and Diaz was out, wasn't it? And remember, we were talking about why is he on the bench? Since Diaz and Stones are back fit, we're just rock solid.
Yeah.
Like you said, it's like, which game was it when Stones did the splits and took one right in the nutsack, basically? Took one straight in the middle of it. And yesterday, I was watching United players ducking.
The second goal.
Yeah, I'm like, what's going on?
Yeah.
That's what I mean. Diaz loves defending. Like, go on, do it again. Hit me in the head. He's crazy because he loves it. There's a difference.
Yeah. No, I agree.
Hey, one more thing on goalkeeper, yeah? If you're not the type of goalkeeper who's good with your feet, who can play out from the back, you better be able to save a volley from outside the box that bounces twice before it gets to you.
This is the problem, Mulv, and this is why if you're going to play this brand of football, you have to get a goalkeeper that can play out from the back, because as good as any goalkeeper is at shot stopping, they will make mistakes, and as soon as they make a mistake by not stopping a shot that they should stop, people will just say, well, he's not going on the ball, and if he can't save that, then he's got to go. So that's why you have to make a move to someone like an Edison, who's not the best shot stopper in the world, but that's what you've got to do. I know, lads, you've got a dip in a minute.
Yeah.
So summarize the FA Cup for us. What do you make of it? How impressive is it? Is it a relief? Is it pressure on now because obviously we got the treble shot? Where are you at?
I think our players thrive on pressure because we said we got Arsenal one of the early-ish kind of rounds in that tournament, and they were lying and saying they were happy to go out of it. And we beat Chelsea, obviously, in the first round, Arsenal, Bristol City, Sheffield United. And, we had a pretty tough route to the final. And conceding no goals in open play, obviously, only that penalty in the final, it's actually debatable. That's the only goal we conceded. So Ortega has really shown why he was a good introduction, especially for free. The likes of Rico Lewis as well in the early rounds. It's good to see these kind of players get more minutes, get introduced into the side. And I think it was a really strong competition for us. We've obviously won the league, one game left, the Champions League final, and hopefully we can complete the treble. But we'll see.
Buzzing. Well, lads, just got to shoot off, so appreciate you jumping on, lads.
Good to talk. Right, see you in a bit, people.
See you later, man. I want us to turn our attention to the Champions League. We'll have a little bit of a preview before we go. Let me just go through some of these super chats then. Big up to Dr. Footy, says, treble father, rally the troops for Val. Hello. There you go, man. Ricky says, big up to the City fans yesterday. We were brilliant, unlike them lot. They were gash, says Ricky. Big up, Ricky.
Selling bucket hats. That's what they're doing.
Yeah, and United have posted a clip of United fans, and you can hear Kevin De Bruyne song in the background. So, yeah, mad. Hayden says, you lot all seen a video of MULV hitting the griddy? I have indeed. If that's still online, I might get it on now. That'd be fun. Jake says, the boys, main guys all over the place. Yes, Jake. Big up to Farhad, says, Man City facing the world. They want City project to fail. Well, It's not happening, bro. It's very successful right now. Big up to Benno says neutral saying United with a better team. I'm not sure what they were watching. Am I being biased to say they're shocking shite, mate?
No, do you know what United
people are saying this?
He said that up there in the corner.
What I would say is, I didn't say United with the better team. Cass said that. What I said is that I thought City were not the best City. So, do I think United were possibly the best? United were more a better United than we are a better City. We still won it, right? But I do think, like, look, when we played Real Madrid and we went 1-0 up, Real Madrid did not play themselves back into the game. To be fair to United, going 1-0 down after 13 seconds against Manchester City is not a good place to be, right? It's a really bad place to be, as most teams have seen when they go, well, apart from the beginning of this season, where going 1-0 down against us was not so bad. But United played themselves back into it. I actually think United came out with a bit of a game plan that ultimately was frustrate us in midfield, right? Just do whatever you have to frustrate us in midfield. And I think they did that quite well. But I asked Mo, who I run my channel with, who's an Inter fan, how he felt after yesterday. And he said, before today, I was petrified. I was scared. I was worried. After today, I'm not worried anymore. I do think there's ways you can get at City. And I said, good. I said, because if we would have turned over Man United 4-5-0, we could have gone into the Champions League a little bit complacent. Yeah. Like, do you know what? This is all too easy. We're doing the league. We've gone and beat our local derby rivals 5-0 in an FA Cup final when they're supposed to be back. I think Pep will already have said to them, if not, he'll say to them on Monday, you know what? You did what you had to do. You got the game won. But that is a reminder, boys, because we have to be real, against Inter, they've got 3 strikers that are far more capable than anyone that was on that pitch for Man United yesterday. And I think this is good for us because we will not be going into the Champions League now thinking, do you know what, football is a walk in the park, which it has felt like a bit of a walk in the park the last couple of weeks, yeah? So I think this is good for Pep because Pep is the manager that will take this and remind them all, we can't think that we're just going to rock up to the Champions League and win it, which maybe we did against Chelsea in the first one.
Yeah, I think you're probably right a little bit there. Because for me, I ain't playing Inter Milan, bro. I'm playing Real Madrid, man. Yeah, I mean, in my head, I'm playing Real Madrid. That's how I'm approaching it. And I do think with the Chelsea one, I think you probably are right in the sense that maybe we just thought, yeah, we'll beat these if we turn up. You know what I mean? Whereas with Inter Milan, I'm not doing that with Inter Milan. I'm in my head, I'm mentally preparing for Real Madrid.
Yeah, spot on with that. You know.
Do you think? Let's think about it this way. That 11 haven't probably played together since Madrid. Roughly, 4 weeks ago, 5 weeks ago? Yeah. So in a way, for me, because I get what you're saying now, Daps. I was only joking about that.
I know. I did. Do you know what? I do realise the stream I did last night, in hindsight, probably came across a bit negative, but I was happy we won. We won it. Like, firstly, yesterday I was a bit deflated because I wasn't at the game, and I'm not gonna lie, it deflated me a bit because it just felt weird not being there. But to me, we won it. We got the job done. I was relieved we beat United, but I was looking at the performance and thinking that performance in my eyes won't be good enough to beat Inter Milan. Yeah,
but I was happy with it because I think it got the cobwebs out the way.
Agreed.
Oh, probably. No, I agree with you on that.
People had a go at Grealish yesterday, and I think Grealish has not played for 4 weeks. Grealish for me is a momentum player.
Yeah, he is.
You can't just drop him for 4 weeks and then roll him back out in a final expecting to be where he was 4 weeks ago.
Yeah, no, I agree with you on that, and I do agree with the cob. I said it's a warm-up
game. The final was before the final on Saturday, if that makes sense.
And it was a good replica because look, the Champions League is going to be a different level of pressure because it's a tournament we've not won before, and we all know how much the players want it, we want it, everyone wants it. But yesterday was a big pressure for a different reason because it was our local rivals, it was Man United, and so I think yesterday was the perfect warm-up game. I said it before as banter, saying literally we're going to treat this like a warm-up game, yeah, and that was 3 days before the derby when I'm doing shows before the nerds have kicked in. I'm just taking the piss out of United. But I think it was the perfect warm-up game from a pressure point of view, from a getting the players back together. That, you know, some didn't even travel to, I think, Brighton and Brentford. They just stayed in Manchester. So it was that. And yeah, So I did think afterwards maybe I came across a little bit negative. I was happy we'd won, and I do think we were the better team. That's why we won it. Ultimately we were a better team than Man United, but it was more a little bit of worry that, you know, guys, we need to get back to that City of 3-4 weeks ago if we want to win this Champions League. And we need to be the City that beat Real Madrid.
Yeah, I don't think you're going to see that. I don't think you're going to see that because that was ultra momentum. That was 100% momentum. Everyone playing at their peak, playing 3 days. You know what I mean? Everyone was zoned in. The difference is we don't need to play like we did against Real Madrid or Bayern Munich to beat Inter Milan because, you know, as good as Inter Milan are, respectful, they're not as good as Real Madrid or Bayern Munich. You have to get to maybe 70% of that level. That is the challenge for this Manchester City side on Saturday. Can we get to a good enough level? It has to be better than yesterday. Maybe yesterday would be enough to beat Inter Milan. But I would like to see a little bit more of an improvement. If we do improve on yesterday, because yesterday, let's just not get it twisted. We still played very well. There'll be a lot of people who are not City fans watch that game yesterday and be like, that's a good team. We just seen such good performances recently for us. That maybe was a little bit of a drop. We got a little bit better than we was yesterday. Then that's what we got to do. But yeah, you've got to treat Inter Milan like with the respect they deserve. And yeah, I mean, yesterday, this was something that I was saying on the streams recently, is that we almost won the league a little bit too early, in the sense that like maybe them last 2 games just took the sort of edge off it. And yeah, that's why yesterday I was a little bit worried about it, in the sense that were we going to be active enough? And
would you say Inter are a better team than United?
Yeah. Right now, they're in the
The
Champions
reason
League
I
final.
said because in Serie A they've lost 12 games.
Yeah, but they're in the Champions League final, Martin.
No, they are. I mean, I'm talking about levels, as in, are United on the level of Inter, or would you say Inter are better than United?
United have got no one who can score goals, Martin. United have got no one that can score goals. Who was scoring goals for them yesterday? I didn't see anyone that could score a goal. He had no chances. I think the best chance, other than the penalty, the best chance was Rashford's header from 17 yards. I don't really remember any other chances, really. Obviously, the McTominay header at the end.
Yeah.
Oh,
no,
do you know what?
I
just see Inter as a bit of, it's an interesting one because it's a bit of a different team to what we used to face. Like, we know, do you know what? I always see Italian teams as confident, yeah, and that they will turn up. I don't believe they'll be scared of City. I don't believe they will. I think it's also something different. I think Pep's even apparently made a comment that he hasn't had too much time to watch too much of Inter Milan. We all know he's got his 2 guys that do all the watching of teams and whatever, but it just seems like, and the other thing is what United did yesterday, I spoke on earlier, was frustrating our midfield. I think they will, to a certain extent, go out trying to frustrate our midfield as well. Look, we can expect some shithousery from them, 100%. It's not going to be nice. It's going to be a tough game, man. But I think it's just going to be a bit of a different game to what we're used to in the Premier League as well. It's going to be, yeah, more almost old school vibes, and it's just the quality has to shine, and we win it.
Do you know what's more important, I think, than what sort of gear we're in? Like, I think we were in a lower gear against United. What's more important than what gear we're in and what momentum we have is the fact that we just don't make any mistakes. As long as you don't make mistakes, City can be in a lower gear and still beat a lot of these teams.
Yeah.
So it's like, I felt like United's, and I think their manager said it, they sort of gifted us a couple of goals there. They just didn't defend very well for those 2. So it was their mistakes that we capitalized on. If we don't make mistakes, I think that's even more important than, you know, what sort of momentum we've got going.
No, you're right. And if you look at, obviously you said there that City haven't conceded a goal, over 1 goal in a game since, what was it, February? Someone said, I can't remember.
Yeah.
Yeah, because why? Because we've not made that many mistakes. And if you make, the way I see it is, yeah, against Inter Milan, with Kevin De Bruyne, Ilkay Gundogan, Foden, Bernardo, whoever plays, Grealish, Haaland, I'm looking at that saying, I'm pretty sure that the 120 minutes, right, or 90 minutes, if you don't go to extra time, we can score at least 1 goal. You know what I mean? If we get to the end of the 120 minutes and haven't scored 1 goal, I'd be very surprised. I think we can score 2. So then, going back to MULV's point is, okay, all we have to do then is make sure we defend well and just not give them any cheap goals, and then you've won the game. I know it's very simple, but ultimately that is the truth. Defend well, don't give them goals, and you'll win the football match.
And do you know what? That is what Gundogan said to the City players. I can't remember what game it was before. I think it might have been the Everton game, or maybe the Leeds game, and I think he had a camera on him when he got everyone round in a huddle, and he said, and he said, guys, these lot are going to be nervous about this game. They know what we are, and I don't want to see not one mistake from the start. So that is the exact, and do you know what? I think that's been the messaging in a lot of our big games this season. If you look at the Bayern game, you look at even yesterday, there were times where we won United were winning the ball back in transitional areas, and they were doing stupid things and giving the ball back to us, like Bruno with his back heels and all that stuff. With City, you never see that, right? Because that's what Pep's drummed into them. If the pass is not dead on, you recycle and you go again. You give it back to Rodri or Stones and they'll find a different pass, right? You do not leave the ball. You do not give the other team, if you like, especially with Real Madrid, you could see it, with Bayern, you could see it. If you respect a team, you don't give the opportunity for them to come at you, because if you don't make the mistake, don't give them the opportunity, they can't harm you. If you keep the ball and just keep pressing and probing and not losing it, no one can harm you. So I think you're spot on. It's a mistake thing. If we don't give the ball away, we know that Haaland, De Bruyne, Gundogan, Bernardo Silva, Foden, if he comes on, will create chances. We know that. We just need to make sure they're so limited in their chances.
Anyone got any hot takes about starting 11 for next week? Or are we just running with the same as yesterday?
Pep
Edison in.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, other than Edison. Yeah, other than Edison. Because I did make a tweet this morning, right, about Foden, in the sense that I didn't think Bernardo or Grealish had particularly great games yesterday. No. Bernardo's been playing really good Foden's been playing really good recently. And he came on yesterday. I thought he did really, really well, Foden, when he come on. Is there any chance that Foden might be able to come in, either whether it be on the left or the right, or we're just running with the same don't change what's not broken type mentality?
All depends on what you expect Inter Milan to do. Because if he expects them to be deep, he'll play his low block busters, which are Grealish and Bernardo. After that is Mahrez. Foden's at the bottom of that list. Foden's more for the more open games, in my opinion.
Foden's direct now.
Yeah. So
Foden can't slow the game and keep the possession. He just wants to drive forward, and that's the problem. Pep said it. I think he's mentioned it about 4 or 5 times just this season alone, about Foden's got to learn to be more patient.
Right, bro. That is why I think we've got him for Kovacic, because we all know that it seems to be the plan that sooner or later Foden drops deep, yeah? But the fact that we've gone and got a player at Kovacic's age, to me, is that Pep's not quite ready to do that with Foden yet. I still think Foden is more, and it's not necessarily a bad thing. I think Pep still thinks Foden is a bit too direct, right? And it's fine. That means that you're a winger still, yeah? Until you learn to be a little bit less direct, you're not quite ready to drop into that 8 role. You're not quite ready to do the Bernardo Silva type thing. And I think you're spot on with that. And yesterday, there was points in the second half where I actually thought we needed Foden on the pitch before he came on, because I was thinking spaces. The minute you see spaces opening up, it's time to get Foden on the pitch for me, because especially against, United or Liverpool or something like that, because he will expose those spaces. And he's been banging recently. He looks like a player that
60 minutes, 65 minutes next week. Inter are a bit tired. 1 or 2 of ours might have tied down. We've got Phil Foden to bring off the bench.
Yeah. And he's got the bit
that
between
would
his
scare
teeth.
Anyone at that point.
He looks like he's playing with like a player that's got something to prove at the moment.
Great.
Like I think was it the Brighton game, where I think he was unbelievable in the Brighton game, and he looks like a player that almost is a little bit, maybe I'd say, frustrated, because he understands why he hasn't been as involved this season. He's had things going on, he's had injuries, but he looked like a player that kind of wants to come in and have an impact. So yeah, we'll see. I think it's a beautiful choice to have. We're back to where we were maybe Centurion times, where we had that quality off the bench, because there was a period where I'm looking at our bench going, we haven't got that much impact. But now again, we're back looking at the bench going, Mahrez, Alvarez, Foden. We've back got impact off the bench again. So it's a good place to be.
Yeah. No, absolutely. Anyone got anything they want to add before we wrap up on either yesterday or the final or anything else?
I just think the major key will be, and the major decision is going to be Aki or Akanji. That's going to be the only one I can see it being really.
Akanji for me, mate. It's not a decision for me. I think if you're going to start Aki,
that's fair.
yesterday. Why? What are you saying?
I don't know, because I'll flip-flop all week.
Well, we'll dominate the ball, bro. We'll dominate the ball.
Yeah.
You pick the better ball player. It's Akanji for me. If you're going to play Ake, for me, you play Ake yesterday.
You know what? It might even be really crazy.
Both.
Not play Walker and do what he did originally and play Kanji and Ake.
Don't start messing around, man.
No, but hold on.
That's originally what he was doing, though, wasn't it?
It was what he was doing. I said
Yeah.
this the other day. It was what he was doing, and you got to remember Walker only. I mean, Pep even came out and said Walker at the moment doesn't suit it, but Walker got brought back in for the Real games against Vinicius, right? So I don't watch Inter. Have Inter got much pace?
When I watch them, not really. No, they play very through the middle though, the way that they play, and then obviously they've got the wing backs that come forward. But depends, obviously. Look, Lukaku's fast. You know, he's a fast guy. They got Mkhitaryan, who I guess is pretty speedy. But other than that, not really.
So can I just ask a question, Lewis? You might know the answer to this. I haven't really been online to look about that much today. Yesterday, Rodri seemed to take a bit of a knock that he looked a little bit uncomfortable afterwards. He played on, he didn't come off. But has anyone seen anything on that? He just looked a little bit. No,
I remember a moment where he looked gassed because he'd just been on a long run.
No, he took a knock. He took a bit of a knock, or maybe it was that, and I thought he'd pulled up with a hammy or something. But he seemed to run it off.
He went down, touched his knees.
Yeah.
He looked.
Oh, it's gas. Right.
Yeah, he looked
gassed out completely.
Yeah, no, he's fine. He's fine. That's for me. I mean, well, what would you do then? MULV, would you play Ake or would you play Kanji?
So I wouldn't change anything. I said I'd bring Edison in. That's it. That's all I would change. I can understand why you might play Akanji and Ake because that was working really well. But I think Walker's come in and he hasn't done anything to warrant being displaced. So I'd stay with it.
Yeah, you're the same, Daps.
Yeah, I am. I think Walker's actually come in, and I mean, even yesterday, there's one point. There's two moments I can say. Yesterday against Rashford, there's one point where the way he just caught up with Rashford and took the ball out off him with no trouble whatsoever, and he did something very, very similar against Real Madrid as well, where I think, you're right. Since because I don't think Walker's had a great season this season. He's been hit with injuries and whatever.
I'd say the second half of the season, I think he's been very
business
good.
End as usual, bro. Business end, he's turned up and done exactly what you expect from. Look, Walker's. I don't know if anyone's seen the interview Walker did, I think on Sky Sports, but it's banging. It's about when City came for him and how he had to it was a no-brainer he was going. The one thing I always say about Walker is he's won 5 now with us, right? Yeah, he's won 5 Premier Leagues with us. Mm-hmm. He's a senior player, and I think Walker gets it, that he's a part of a squad. And I had no fears that although Pep had said to him, you're not part of the plans at the moment, that Walker knows when it's time. He likes a challenge. He likes winning trophies. You've seen it on his Instagram. He's posting. This never gets, it never gets boring, winning trophies. So I'd probably go with Walker for the experience side of things as well, to be honest, as well. Yeah. And then on the left side, I think you're right, because Ake played against Brentford. Yeah, so it's not that Ake is not fit or lacks match fitness. He played against Brentford, so Pep chose Akanji over Ake yesterday. So I don't see why he'd change it.
Like I say, for me, if he was going to play Ake, it'd be yesterday, where you're coming up against a bit more pace. I know in the end he went sort of Bruno and he had Wan-Bissaka, but against Inter Milan, where you're going to have even more ball possession than we did yesterday, you'd imagine you've got to go with the player for me that's better on the ball, and that is Akanji. And Akanji played really well yesterday. Yeah, he did. Right, I'm going to wrap it up. Let's just go through some of these super chats and member chats before we finish. Big up to Jerry, says every game is going to be a slog at this point. I think Kev is injured, and we won't know till after the season, but we'll still take KDB at 60% fit any day. Yeah, I didn't think he particularly had a great game yesterday. Still got 2 assists, which is pretty mad. Keon says Inter is like a high quality Brentford. If we turn up and move the ball like we can, then we will win. From Keon, big up. And Farhad says, if I'm Inter manager, I plan to win Champions League by penalties. Oh yeah, I mean, and a lot of I've seen, I can't remember which pundit it was, an Italian pundit on British TV who said they will be playing for penalties. Ronald with a member chat says 2 down, 1 to go. Istanbul, here we come. Come on, City. The treble is in sight. Good luck to Pepper the lads, and hi to the crew and Sean Dyche in the bottom right. Jeez,
is that me?
I assume so. I mean, you're bottom right. I
Might
mean,
be
he was
me
sent.
with my voice.
Yeah, he did send it earlier on,
Yeah,
so
the gravelly
maybe.
voice. Yeah.
Kundinho says, guys, as a Muslim, Gundogan won't accept a statue as it's against the religion. For me, Gundogan has surpassed Gaya's City legacy is the best mid. Okay, cool. That's something that I didn't know. And I guess no one really knew because everyone's been discussing it. But yeah, there you go, guys. So he can't get a statue. Okay. Patience says, I can't wait for the end of year documentary. I need to hear the speech after the stupid charges. Probably us against the country type of speech. Us against the world, it probably was, bro. And Simon Clark with a 5 month says, we do need to be better than United, but I know that we will be better against Inter. Everyone will play their parts to the full. Get in there. Big up to everyone in the chat. Hopefully you guys have enjoyed the show. Daps, where you at? What you got going on, man?
Yeah, I've got Istanbul going on. That's all that's on my mind. Getting through the next 3 days at work and getting over to Istanbul. I've got a preview coming up at some point with Mo from my channel and also Inter Worldwide, which is an Inter channel. I'm not really too sure when that is. Yeah, do you know what, bro? I'm just so focused on getting out to Istanbul and just relaxing for a couple of days before the game and then hopefully seeing us reach our destiny. I hope. I hope. That's it, though. Yeah, but listen, just keep smashing the likes on everything, City Extra. And if you want to see more of the div in the Burberry hat, then never a foul.
Martin, what's going on?
We're actually live in 30 minutes doing our FA Cup rundown.
There you go.
Yeah.
Never stops.
Tuesday, we start our Champions League rundown. Sadly, I'm not going over to Istanbul.
Are you not?
No,
I think we've spoken that. No, we've spoken.
No, I actually had category 4 tickets in my basket. Went to pay for them, they sold out, and they're only left with £400 tickets. And my missus is looking at me going, "No." And I went, "Should I?" She's like, "No." So I had to take the hit. I said we were on holiday, and I was like, So sadly, no, I'm not there.
You know what? Steve didn't give me that option. The night the Real Madrid fan, he was on to me instantly saying, box off the flights, box off the hotel. I hadn't booked it off work. I knew that my daughter's mum is away while we're away. I just booked it and then kind of have had to work out a way to sort it all out. But I was hoping you're going to be out there, Martin. Not gonna lie.
No, I'll be at the parade though.
Yeah.
MULV?
Yeah, I'm off Noisy Neighbours podcast. Me and my partner Joey will be recording our victory lap tonight. So for you in the UK, look in your podcast apps in the morning for Noisy Neighbours podcast. You'll see that. And if you're in the US, maybe later tonight.
Cool. Italian says, guys, need an Avengers stream a day before the Inter Milan final to calm everyone down, please. We'll see who's obviously available, because obviously a lot of the lads will be going over to the thing, but we'll see who's available, see if we can get one. If we can't, then we can't. But if we can, we can. Boys, thank you very much for coming on. As always, big up to everyone in the stream. Hopefully you've enjoyed it. And obviously go check out MCFCLADS. He was going out, so he couldn't stay for the full hour. But go subscribe to everyone, man. Yeah, I mean, noisy pod, really good pod. Obviously, Mancunian way, never a foul. MCFCLADS, and obviously City Extra. Make sure you subscribe, smash a like, and we'll see you in the next one. See you in a bit.